fire, whether it's DPW, every agency has to come in with their budgets, and it's exhausting. But as you can see, when you get this budget, which I hope you introduce tonight, as you go through it and watch the presentation our business administrator has, you'll see the hard work that goes into play. Now, it's a little bit, I should have warned you, it's a little bit longer tonight than normal. So I don't usually do this, but I think it's important to show the community some real truths to what we're doing here, and like I said, over the last decade. So if you look at this, and you'll see this online, and you can see it on the website. So if you see these charts, this is the annual tax rate increase trend from 1997 to 2019. So if you go back and you look at 97, 11% increases. 10, 7, 5, 4. Now, I think I became a councilman around this area, where it's 5, 4, 6, then it's 6, then it drops down a little bit, then it starts going back up, and it's like this. It's like this. So when you bought a house and your taxes were $6,000, and then 5 years later, 8 years later, 9 years, 12 years later, they're 10,000. That's the trend. You can see it. Here's where I took office. Right? My first year, I had to raise it 1.9% because we were $5 million in the hole. That's what we were left by the previous administration, $5 million in debt for municipal budgetary. So that either I raised taxes $5 million, you all know how much it is. Because 1.9 is how much, Joe? What's 1.9? 400 and something thousand?
Yeah.
Okay, so now with 5 million, because if you do it that way, and then take a look. We reduced it, we reduced it, we reduced it, 0, 0, we reduced it, 0, little bump and a little bump. And that's actual facts. That's how it works. So for 10 years, not for an election year, but for 10 years, we have been steady with how we run our government. And that's a lot to do with the council too, because they support the budgets that we bring. This is an interesting thing. This is the municipal levy trend. So of course it gets a little, when you're not into the business administrative stuff and the number stuff. So I started here, 2010, right? My tax levy, is this the tax levy?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a trend. And you see it straight across. Right? You see as it rises, and it starts when I take office, it's 2162, and it's been 22, 22, 22, 22, 22, 22, 22, 22, and a little jump to 23, all the way down over a decade. And the last chart I want to show you, which I think is I'm very proud of, is the one that one I put up yet. Which one am I doing?
Yeah, that's the last one.
The last one?
Yep.
So, here's where I started. This is the municipal tax rate trend. And you can see the rates, they trended from 0.54 all the way up to 0.9. And I had to take office, it was up to 1.16. I took office and went up to 1.035. That's your tax rate. 10 years later, and this is an important number, 10 years. So it can be done in any municipality in the state of New Jersey. 10 years later, my tax rate is lower than it was when I started. So you have to reinvest in your community. You have to make hard choices. You have to work with unions. They were amazing the first few years I was here with zeros. They work very, very hard with Jillian. She does all the negotiating with the unions. They're all fair, and they're able to keep the budget in a reasonable sense, where we're not reaching into municipal pockets as every year deep. And I don't have the school and I don't have the county, and that's where a lot of your higher increases come. Jillian has that, the business administrator has that record, and I think she shows it in her budget. So stick around and see that. So again, I want to thank everybody. Of course, I wanted to make sure I thank Mary first, in case I forgot her. But there's also Jen in the back. I want to recognize. She's from the Jen. She's in the she's the director of Morristown Partnership. Jen Waring. It's all the organizations working hand in hand. Parking Authority, Partnership, Commerce, Business, Council, Administration, Clerk's Office. Everybody has to work together for it to work as the way it should be. And I think if people look at it that way everywhere, things can be better. It's not easy out there. Costs, you'll see, costs have gone up. Pension costs are up $400-something thousand. You can't print that money. Money has to come from somewhere. You know, thank God we've had reinvestment in Morristown. We were able to, I think we have that number too, what your taxes would be without the investments. We were talking thousands of dollars more your taxes would be without the reinvestment in Morristown. So I'd like to end with one taking the time to listen to me spout. But I always like to end with a quote. And this is from Henry Ford. So Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." Thanks to every member of this community, I am hopeful that Morristown will continue to see the success for many years to come. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Morristown.